T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Coach on Fire Radio.
I've been taken for your doctor. Moon, moon on the water. Lay me down upon your altar.
You are tuned into Sacred Erotic with Gila Nehemiah. Thank you, Rachel, for that wonderful song. You can reach Rachel at rachelhaymer.com/music. And who do we have today but Rachel Haymet herself?
I have arrived. Hello. I am coming out from behind the curtain where my music has emanated from into the foreground. Thank you so much for having me, Gila.
Thank you for being here. I'm sure our audience has been wondering who is that beautiful voice singing all the time when they listen to my episodes. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
No longer a woman of mystery.
Yes.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much. I am a musician. I am also a healer and what I like to call a divine seer. So I have been blessed both from the line of women that I come from and by training to be able to see directly into you and to your flow, into your chakra system and what's going on with you energetically. And I do healings on people that way. And I also sing and compose and play music. And I just got some fantastic news, which is that I've got a title to be a musician under New York. So if you're in New York City, look out for me playing in the subway because I've gotten one of the very coveted musical ambassador spots there in the city. And so I'm going to be joyfully spreading the healing on a musical basis in the New York City subways. So if you're around, look for Rachel Haymet and the Ukulele Time Machine, which is going to be my act, and prepare to get some musical healing. And and of course, as a healer, extra musically, I also exist. So that's a little snippet of me.
Fantastic. Wow, so fascinating. So tell us a little bit about this music gig you're doing in New York. Any of our New York listeners, definitely check her out.
Thank you. So I just got the news and I still have to have an orientation with musicians under New York. But what it is if you ever have traveled in the city by subway, that is New York City, there are certain musicians who have these big signs and they are like ambassadors of music in the subway, chosen basically because they are the best of the best at what they do. And they represent New York and they are playing it literally says this on the Music of New York website, that they're there to provide happiness, joy, and uplifting entertainment to the people as they go commuting along their way through the city. And so I've been blessed to have been chosen by the other members of this elite group to become one of them. And so that means that I can reserve spots, basically. That's all that means, basically, that I can reserve a particular spot. Let's say I want to do Grand Central one week. And so right now, my website doesn't reflect that information. But if you follow me on Facebook, Rachel Haymet Music, or if you see me, rachelhaymer.com at my website, and that's Hay like horses, mer like mermaid, so Haymer, Rachel Haymet, you'll find all the latest info of where I'm going to be playing. But right now, of course, I've just gotten the news, so the website may or may not be actualized with my upcoming gigs. But I'm really excited, most of all, just to be able to play the wide variety of music because I come from a healing musical background, having worked in a lot of care homes for our elderly, doing music in order to help support their memory care. So that's a whole other type of healing that I've done extensively. But let me just say it is very important to expose yourself to music that you love, because if you can connect that emotion to the music, that will be like a key to unlock your mind later in life. So you should definitely have a list of your favorite songs in an album or in a journal somewhere, so that when you get really old and you can't remember anything, you can turn back to this musical list, put on those records. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's Skrillex, like, go for it. That is okay. You know, whatever it is, that can really be kind of the key to unlocking some of your best memories and the things that you love. And music has a very unique way of doing that, and that's why I love what I do. So that's kind of a cool crossover between the musical world and the healing world. Wouldn't you say, Gila?
Yeah, fantastic. Really fascinating about that. I think it's an amazing tip that we should save some of our playlists for those days when we get older. So thank you for that. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to talk a little bit about, I want to ask you some things about healing, but before that, I want to just talk about your desires. Our sacred erotic, we're talking about some desires. So how do you, how can you give me some more information about how music kind of fulfills, like you talked about emotions, like if we can get a little bit more into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Emotions are really the key to it all. And again, music being a really great way to access your emotions. For some people who have a problem feeling, sometimes they can't feel, but they can feel when they listen to a song, and that could be a way in, because feeling is really, really important, to manifesting your best life. And I call myself a healer and a life coach, but really what I'm helping everyone to do is to come into their best alignment so that they can live the life that they desire to live. And of course, desiring, is in itself an emotion. So if you can work intimately with those, with what you have going on in your emotional landscape, then you're going to be able to bring in the things that you have coming to you that are going to bring you into that wonderful best life, and not something that you don't like.
Got that. Yeah, that's powerful. Thanks for sharing that, for bringing that in terms of desire and feeling and music. I think that's totally cool. And so let's get into a little bit about this manifestation and healing work that you do. Can you explain that more to our listeners about what that is, and maybe even explain manifestation a little bit more as well?
Yeah, sure. Well, that really brings me to, the number one point that I want to make to our listeners about manifesting. You may have heard the law of attraction. You may have watched The Secret. You may be familiar with this or not. But if you're familiar with self-development at all, you have probably heard this one principle. And this is so, so, so important, which is that you have to own whatever is in your life. And that's where it all begins. If you say, oh, life has done this to me, or I'm a victim, or I can't believe that I'm in this situation where God put me, oh my goodness, like I can't help myself, then if you say any of those things, that's where you get to do the work. That's nothing else is going to be happening for you until you can say, I own this. Whatever is in my life, good, bad, ugly, anything, it's me. I created it. I created all of this in my life. It is what it is, and I can judge it as much as I want, but I start by saying, I made this. I created it, or at least I put myself here. I am responsible for everything that is in my universe. And once you can say that, that is such a powerful place to be. Because even though you haven't actually moved, what you can then say from that place is, and I can change it. I can uncreate this thing that is not pleasing to me. I can change around my circumstance. And that's where true manifestation begins, is to say, what do I want to create? What is it that I want to create? Do I want a fast, exciting life Do I want a peaceful existence? Do I want to be full of drama and chaos, or do I want to be at ease always where I am? And what does that feel like? And once you can do that, all you have to do is get that feeling, dial it in, and hold on to it. Hold on to it until it arrives. And that's it. That's basic manifesting. Mic drop. I'm done.
Yeah, wow, cool. Yeah, just hold on to that feeling. I like that. Part of my own philosophy as well with erotica. So thanks for that. Yeah, so you also talked about empowering yourself, and you're empowered to create your own life. So maybe let's step into that. So yeah, we talked about desire and the feeling. So how do we create this life that we want or that we desire?
Well, that's a great question, and thank you for asking. And, the best way I can describe it is that once you have that, I like to call it the guiding light. Once you have that guiding light, that feeling that you say, okay, that is what I desire to create in life. I deeply desire to live in a wonder-filled, endlessly abundant universe. And I don't maybe know from experience what that feels like, but I'm going to imagine and put myself there as much as I can by imagining what that could be like. And then as you come into your reality, to start to choose toward whatever choice is closest to that beacon, whatever choice you have, because everything is a choice, right? And that comes back to owning your own life and saying, I created this. So if you acknowledge that, then you acknowledge that you have choices. And so whatever choice you have, which is closer to that beacon of guiding light, that you choose that. And once you start to make a series of choices with your brave action, contribute toward that guiding light, that is when the universe gets the signal like, okay, there's a clear instruction, a clear guiding light being given to us of how this person's life can be, and they are choosing toward it with their actions. And so those two things together, that's like magic. That's like magic right there. That right there is enough to get you anywhere. If you choose toward your beacon of light, your what you want to create, there's a small matter of resistance. There's just this small matter of resistance, which is the other thing. But other than that, there's nothing else to know, You choose with your choices toward that which is the most, which most closely resembles where you want to go. And that's it.
Cool. It sounds magical. Actually, I just had a podcast about magic and miracles, so thanks for sharing that. It kind of reminds me of that. So you too, everyone listening, we are creating magic. We create magic every day in our lives. Don't forget that. You get to be the person who fits with your manifestation desires. Can you explain that a little bit? Something that you had told me.
Yeah, so that kind of ties into that little thread we left off of that beautiful magic sweater we just made, which is that resistance piece, and you may or may not be familiar with resistance and what it means, but suffice to say, when you have an intention and you want to go and accomplish something, do something, see something, have a certain experience, and something gets in the way, that's resistance, whatever it is. If something gets in your way, then that would be resistance. And it comes in so many forms. But the one that trips us up usually the most is the resistance which comes from within us, directly from our brain to our brain, which doesn't ever leave our head. That resistance which is in there, your little voice that I like to call the peanut gallery, telling you this can't happen, this won't happen, you're a fool to want this, how can you even dare to dream? And that voice is what I like to call the peanut gallery, like I said. And then that's where we do the real work of being who we want to be, because that resistance can say whatever it wants, and trust me, it will say whatever it wants.